Well, having discussed the background of the structural approach to the study of literature with reference to Boccaccio's The Decameron, we shall go ahead with Tadraw's work. So, Tadraw's structural analysis of narrative broadened to consider larger cultural and interpretative issues. So, it is post structuralist in that way because it not only considers the structural things at the same time, it is supplanted by such kind of approach. It goes ahead with cultural and interpretative issues, just like Rolla Barth. So Rolla Barth, I have mentioned, was one of the post-structuralists in the 1970s. He became a leading proponent of post-structuralism, or post-structuralist literary criticism. He tried to focus on extol the richness of textual interpretation. So, following the same manner, Todra notes in structural study of narrative, poetics does not deny the relation between literature and social life. Therefore, there is, of course, it focuses on the text at the same time, it does not deny the relation between literature and social life. Now, you need to understand that structuralism generally focuses on the internal aspects, internal features. But this statement seems to be a bit contradictory to their approach. They focus on what we said, focus on the text. And here he's saying poetics does not deny the relationship between literature and social life. So it does not contradict external approaches, but serves a different purpose. It does not go against the approaches of the study of literature in which external factors are taken into consideration, such as society, culture, etc. It does not go against that, but it has a different purpose. So narratology or structural analysis remains an active, uh, though technical subfield in literary studies. Of course, it is a technical subfield because it focuses on the technical elements more, just like grammar, but it still remains active. And Todraw's work is still regarded as foundational, although it serves a different purpose, although it does not take into consideration the external factors. It is foundational work. In this particular work, the analysis of narrative, structural analysis of narrative, he sought to describe and expound the structural approach to analyzing literature by looking at Boccaccio's The Decameron. Also, he tries to focus or study some other structural issues, okay, such as concrete problems of narrative and plot. How? Let's try to understand. So there are actually two approaches to the study of literature or study of any structure: the theoretical approach and the descriptive approach. Todrov began by contrasting two different approaches to literature. So just now I mentioned the theoretical approach and the descriptive approach. The aim was to arrive at what structural analysis seeks to do. Okay, you must be knowing two approaches, the theoretical approach and the descriptive approach. If you have studied syntax, generally with reference to Geoffrey Leach, we understand that descriptive approach focuses on the synchronic elements, and the theoretical approach is a kind of prescriptive approach. It tells us uh, what to do rather than how to do. For them, how actually prescription is important. Okay, and descriptive approach focuses on how the things are done. not how should it be done. I'll tell you one simple example. Prescriptive, the theoretical approach tells you it should be used like this, but descriptive approach tells you that it is used like this. It is the difference between should be and is. Should be is a kind of advice, and this is means it is like this. You do not have any opinion, you just simply observe. It is scientific, more scientific. So Todder defined the nature of structural analysis as essentially theoretical and non-descriptive. Okay. So the aim of such study will never be the description of a concrete work. It is to come up with a theory. So it will be considered as the manifestation of an abstract structure. I told you the focus is on the first part. It is on the underlying structure, the abstract structure, the structure which cannot be seen. You can see the slide, you can see all the sentences, but you can't see how these sentences came into being. That is abstract. Okay, you see the concrete page over here, but how this page came into being, what rules are used, what rules govern behind the construction of this sentence is abstract. And this is a possible realization. This is not the only realization of this rule. You need to understand. If you do not understand, I'll tell you. SVO means sentence, verb, object is the structure, pattern. So this is the underlying pattern. But based on that, you can have variations. You can use any words. But you know the pattern. Means in the place of subject, there should be a noun. In the subject, in the place of predicate, there should be a verb. In the place of an object, there should be a noun or pronoun. In the place of subject, again, there can be a noun or pronoun. But which pronoun? We know it. For example, I say, I am your teacher. I can't say, me, your teacher. Okay. We understand that me, your teacher is a wrong construction. I am your teacher is a proper construction. So this is the possible realization. And we accept only possible realizations of the abstract structure. Okay, for example, when you say, I'm going to the market. Now, understand that I'm going to the market is the possible realization. And you can say, structure. So the SVA is the underlying pattern. Based on that pattern, we can have different paroles, different possible realization or manifestations. So an understanding of that structure will be the real goal of structural analysis. Now you people, the students of English, unless and until you know these patterns, you won't be able to come up with the possible realization. And you won't be even able to understand the mistakes committed, the errors committed by the speakers. In order to understand the errors, you should know the abstract structure. And the aim of structural analysis is to understand the abstract structure of the narratives here. In the context of criticism, we are going with the parallel discussion on structuralism in language and structuralism in theory, literary theory. Now, what does structural analysis do then? Okay, structural analysis seeks to understand the structure behind the actual work. Just now I told you what is the structure of this sentence. Okay, when you ask about that, that is your structural analysis. Okay, I had given you the example, down came the rain. Down came the rain. What is the structure here? Down is the adverb, came is the verb, and the rain is the subject. Now, this is not an acceptable structure, acceptable pattern in English. A, V, S. Generally, we know that subject should come before the verb. Okay. Here, down is the adverb and it comes before the verb, and the subject comes after the verb. So, the rule is not followed. So, this is called inversion. Again, this is the rule. Okay, it becomes a poetic license. In poetry, that is allowed. It is an example of inversion. You must be knowing it is one of the poetic device. So this structure behind the actual work should be understood. So we can understand the structure of the genre to which that work belongs. After understanding the structure behind the actual work, we can say it is a novel, it is a poem, okay, it is a sonnet, it is an elegy, okay, and even we can say that it is a quatrain, a sestet, an octave. Must be knowing all these words. A quatrain is a stanza of 4 lines. A sestet is a stanza of 6 lines. Then an octave is a stanza of 8 lines. So we come to know all these things after the structural analysis. So instead of talking about the structure of the individual work, the structural analysis tries to understand the structure behind the actual work in general of the genre itself. So Todorov contrasts this with Marxist and psychoanalytic thought by saying that they seek to understand the abstract structure with the social or psychic of the work rather than try to learn all that there is to know about the particular work of literature, just like the new critics. So structuralism and Marxism, psychoanalysis focuses on abstract structure. Marxism focuses on the abstract social structure. Psychoanalysis focuses on the abstract psychic structure of the work. Structuralism focuses on the abstract structure of the plot, etc. New criticism does not do so. It just tries to understand the particular work of literature. So structuralists tend to look at theory or practices of literature. They try to understand the literary discourse instead of the social or psychic side of the literature. For them, the social or psychic side of the literature is the external element, not the internal element. So he states that description should not be completely thrown out the window, because it helps in understanding theory. Of course, after studying the theoretical aspect, description of the piece of work cannot be discarded. New criticism focuses on the description, but it can serve as the best stepping stone toward theory. Okay, this is a kind of precise empirical knowledge which can help you to understand the theory. So the support of descriptive approach is also essential for coming to the theory, for understanding the theory. Okay. In the next part of my discussion, I shall be talking about structural analysis of plot of Boccaccio's Decamerone.